So today we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea from the book Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, and it challenges one of the most basic things we're taught about money, that we should always be trying to save more. Let's get into why that might be a huge mistake. The book kicks off by basically flipping a classic fable right on its head. We are all taught to be the responsible ant, right? Always working, always saving for the future. But Perkins comes along and asks this really critical question. If the ant spends its entire life just working and saving, when does it ever actually get to live? And that question really sets the stage for the whole problem he's trying to solve. Right. And that leads us to the core problem here. The problem of a wasted life. It's this trap we fall into of constantly delaying joy for a future that, let's be honest, might not even come. Or, if it does, a future where we're maybe too old or too sick to enjoy the money we worked so hard for. We get so focused on just surviving that we totally forget how to thrive.
And to really bring this home, Perkins tells the story of his friends, Aaron and John. They were these successful 35-year-old lawyers, 3 kids, the whole 9 yards, when John gets this absolutely devastating cancer diagnosis. And just like that, it was a massive wake-up call. It forced them to just stop everything and focus only on what truly mattered, spending whatever time they had left together. Now, obviously, their situation is super extreme, but it shines a huge spotlight on a universal truth. Our time is finite, and we often wait way, way too long to actually start living.
And you know what? The data totally backs this up. If you look at the median American household, their net worth keeps going up and up well into their 60s and 70s. We're still hoarding wealth at an age when we should be out there enjoying it. This shows that oversaving isn't just a problem for a few people. It's a huge, widespread pattern, which really makes you wonder, what on earth are we all waiting for? So how do we break this pattern? Well, it starts with a huge shift in how we think about wealth. The book argues that our most valuable asset isn't our 401k or our house. No, it's something way more precious, something you can never, ever get back. And that asset, it's something the book, Your Money or Your Life, calls life energy. I love this concept. It's basically all the hours you have on this planet to do things. So every single dollar you earn isn't just money. It represents a little piece of your finite life energy that you traded for it. When you start thinking about money that way, spending it isn't just about dollars and cents anymore. It's about how you're choosing to allocate your actual life. And this is the absolute key difference, right? You can always, in theory, go out and make more money. It's a renewable resource. But your time, your life energy, that is 100% non-renewable. Once an hour is gone, it is gone forever. And that means we should be way more terrified of wasting our lives than we are of wasting our money. So what's the fix for this trap of wasted life energy? The solution is, well, it's simple, it's definitely provocative, and it's incredibly powerful. The goal should be to aim to die with zero. Now, that doesn't mean hitting zero before you die, but it means you should thoughtfully and methodically spend down your resources on what actually matters to you, leaving as little as possible on the table when your time is up. Okay, now this isn't about just being reckless with your money, not at all. It's about being really smart and strategic. It's about making smart investments, but not in the stock market, in experiences. And these kinds of investments, they pay a very unique and very powerful kind of return. Perkins calls this the memory dividend. Think about it. When you spend money on an experience, like a great vacation or going to a concert or learning a new skill, you get the joy in that moment, for sure. But then you also get to relive it through your memories for the rest of your life. It becomes an asset that just keeps paying you back over and over again. Here's a great way to think about it. The initial experience, that's like a big burst of joy. But then, for years and years, those memories keep paying out these little dividends every time you tell the story, or look at a picture, or just think back on that moment. It's like compound interest, but for your happiness. And over time, the total value of those memories can actually become greater than the joy of the original event itself. So the logic here is just crystal clear, right? To get the maximum return, you have to invest early. An amazing trip you take when you're 25 has, 50 or 60 years to pay you those memory dividends? But if you take that exact same trip when you're 75, well, you just have a much shorter time to cash in. It's a simple calculation. There's this quote from The Butler in Downton Abbey that just nails this idea. Ultimately, you don't retire just on your 401k balance. You retire on your memories. Because when you're too old to go on new adventures, you can still get so much joy and satisfaction from the incredible life experiences you collected along the way. Okay, let's get real about this whole wasted life energy thing.
It's not just some philosophical idea. We can actually put a number to the true cost of saving too much. The book gives this amazing example of a typical saver who dies leaving $130,000 behind. So when you do the math on how many hours she had to work to earn that leftover money, it comes out to 6,646 hours. That's more than 2.5 years of full-time work that she basically did for free, trading her precious life energy for money she never, ever got to use. So here's the bottom line. From the Die with Zero perspective, having money left over at the end isn't a sign of success. It's actually a sign of, well, a kind of tragedy. It represents a surplus of unspent life energy. It's a measurement of all the experiences you paid for with your time, but never actually got around to collecting. At this point, I know exactly what you're thinking, because it's the biggest hang-up for everyone with this idea. It's that voice in your head screaming, but what if I run out of money before I die? And look, that is a terrifying thought, but there are really practical ways to manage it.
And let's be super clear, this is a completely rational fear. In the world of finance, it even has a name. It's called longevity risk, just the simple risk that you'll outlive your savings. But once you give it a name and acknowledge it, it stops being this overwhelming anxiety and becomes what it really is, a logistical problem that you can solve.
Think about this. We already have a tool to protect against the risk of dying too soon. That's just life insurance, right? It protects your family financially. Well, there's an opposite tool for the risk of living too long. It's called an annuity. An annuity is basically insurance against outliving your money. You give an insurance company a chunk of money, and in return, they give you a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of your life, no matter how long that turns out to be. So when you use a tool like this, you no longer have to self-insure against the absolute worst-case scenario of, living to be 120. Because that's what causes us to hoard so much money we never spend. Instead, you can transfer that risk to an insurance company, and that frees you up, both emotionally and financially, to actually go out and spend your money and live your life. So, we'll leave you with this final question to really chew on. If you could completely remove that deep, nagging fear of running out of money, what would you do differently, starting right now? What experiences, big or small, have you been putting off for that someday that isn't promised to any of us? Because that is the real challenge at the heart of Dying with Zero.